So Bob Iger did a town hall as the returning CEO of the Walt Disney Company, and he had to take questions from employees. I think there's some really interesting stuff in here. So let's go ahead and start listening to the Q&A from the returning CEO, Bob Iger. Here we go.
Here's a virtual question. Many cast members had wished that Disney stayed out of politics. Will Disney stay out of making political statements?
You know, I think there's a misperception here about what politics is. And I think that some of the subjects that have proven to be controversial as it relates to Disney have been branded political, and I don't necessarily believe they are. I don't think when you are telling stories and attempting to be a good citizen of the world that that's political. Just not how I view it.
Well, what is being a good citizen of the world, Bob? Can you please give me specifics as to what that means? What does being a good citizen of the world mean? What if I'm a Donald Trump supporter? What if I'm a Ron DeSantis supporter and I'm going around the state of Florida, knocking on doors, telling everyone that you need to go and vote Republican and you need to go vote Donald Trump or Ron DeSantis? What if I'm doing that? Does that make me a good citizen of the world? Bob, I would love for you to give me specifics because in my opinion, your view on it is that you're a good citizen of the world if you push the narrative that we want you to push. So what exactly does that mean, being a good citizen?
Do I like the company being embroiled in controversy? Of course not. It can be distracting and it can have a negative impact on the company. And to the extent that I can work to kind of quiet things down, I'm going to do that. But I think it's important to put in perspective what some of these subjects are and not just simply brand them political.
Be a good citizen of the world, everyone, according to Bob Iger. Next up, and this does come from Christopher Rufo, who has done a fantastic job on all of this stuff Disney-related recently. But here's the next one right here. This is a pretty good one.
Bob, have you given any thoughts on how to tackle the Reedy Creek situation in Florida?
No. I have to get up to speed on that completely. Obviously, I followed the news. That development occurred after I left the company. I was sorry to see us dragged into that battle. And I have no idea exactly what its ramifications are in terms of the business itself. What I can say is the state of Florida has been important to us for a long time, and we have been very important to the state of Florida. That is something I'm extremely mindful of and will articulate if I get the chance. But I don't have the details at all yet about what the ramifications are of the decision that was made by the state of Florida and whether we intend to do anything about it.
I don't believe a word of what he just said. I don't believe anything about that. That was such a massive situation. And as I've said, I believe Bob Iger was behind the scenes pulling the strings the whole time any damn way. But in no way, shape, or form do I believe that he doesn't know anything about that. I think he's full on aware of everything that happened, and he knows he needs to try to correct a lot of those mistakes. And I don't think he's going to be able to because I don't think Ron DeSantis is going to play ball with them. So I 100% don't believe a word of what Bob Iger just said. Here we go, another one.
And what is your stance on the don't say gay situation?
Well, first of all, our LGBTQ employees are very important to us, and we care deeply about them. That is a given.
Okay, hold on. So, God, I hate when corporate weirdos do this. So let's listen to what he just said one more time.
First of all, our LGBTQ employees are very important to us, and we care deeply about them. That is a given.
Okay, so what about all your other employees, Bob? Are all the other employees that are not LGBTQ, 3PO, XYZ, are all those other employees not important? And of course, Bob's going to go, well, no, all of our employees are important. Okay, well then why did you decide to specifically take one group of people that have a certain sexual orientation and say that they are extremely important to you? Why not just say All of our employees are important to us. Why do you have to specify that this group is important? Because you're virtue signaling. And when you try to virtue signal that damn hard, then you know somebody is covering something up. Oh, all of our LGBTQIA plus 3PO people, they're very important to us. And you're like, okay, well, what about all your other employees? Well, yeah, they're important too. Then why didn't you signal, why did you section off a certain group? Because you're trying to cover up something. You're trying to hide something. Anyway, let's let Bob continue on his virtue signaling.
Secondly, this company has been telling stories for 100 years, and those stories have had a meaningful, positive impact on the world. And one of the reasons they've had a meaningful, positive impact is because one of the core values of our storytelling is inclusion and acceptance and tolerance. And we can't lose that. We just can't lose that. And I think about Black Panther and the impact that had on the world, or a film like Coco. I mean, I could go on, and how we actually changed the world for the good. It must continue.
Okay, first of all, Coco was fantastic. I love that movie. If you have not seen Coco, I highly recommend checking it out. It's really good. It's really good. It ain't because it changed the fucking world. It's because it's a good movie that told a good story. It's really that simple, Bob. Black Panther changed the world. It changed the world. The second film is doing good at the box office. Okay, it's not a flop. It's not going to lose money. It's also not going to make anywhere near what the first one made. It's not even going to come close. But oh, the significance, the cultural impact, the world. It saved the world. It saved lives. Shut the fuck up. It's just another option for you to virtue signal and pretend that you care about things.
We also, when you tell stories, it's a delicate balance. You're talking to an audience, but it's also important to listen to an audience. It's important to have respect for the people that you're serving, that you're trying to reach, and not have disdain for it. That said, we're not going to make everybody happy all the time, and we're not going to try to. And we're certainly not going to lessen our core values in order to make everybody happy all the time. So it's complicated, and there's a balance, and at one point I said, we do what we believe is right, and then someone criticized me for saying, well, who are you to say that that's right? Well, when you're in a job like mine, or you are responsible for the storytelling that many of you are responsible for, you get paid to have a sense for what is right. Not everybody will agree with you. That's just not the way the world is these days. But it doesn't mean you should stop trying to do the right thing.
So I like the part where he says, oh, you have to listen to the audience. If that is the case, then you need to completely burn Lucasfilm to the ground, retcon everything Disney has done under the Lucasfilm banner, and call George Lucas, apologize, and hand him the keys to the kingdom. But you're not listening to the audience, and you don't care. The Marvel Cinematic Universe, you should completely wipe out the most recent phase. Completely wipe it out and start from Endgame all over again. If you're listening to your audience, you should bring back John Lasseter to run Pixar again if you're listening to your audience. But we know you're not. And so another just hollow answer from a politician named Bob Iger. That's who he is. He is a politician. So very interesting. Not surprised that he answered these questions in the way he did. He's a very politically savvy guy. He's a very smart guy. And he's in a position now where he has to make it look like he's coming in to save the day, everybody. Bob Iger's back to save the day. I mean, what was the report the other day that the hiring freeze will continue? Bob Iger, his hiring freeze, the Bob Chapek hiring freeze will continue. Of course it will. Because Bob Iger was involved in that decision. So of course it's going to continue. Why is that shocking to anyone? More nonsense. So I do think Bob Iger is going to really try to turn this around from a perception standpoint. Absolutely. A lot of politics from him once again. A lot of virtue signaling. A lot of nonsense. we'll see what happens, but pretty interesting stuff. And shout out to Christopher Rufo again, who's been doing great work for a long time over this Disney thing. And yeah, for Bob Iger to act like he's not even aware of the Reedy Creek situation and what happened with Governor DeSantis in the state of Florida and Walt Disney, the company, insane. Thank you guys for checking out this video. I appreciate it. Appreciate all of you. Have a great day, and we will talk to you later.